Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and I'm back from France. Recharged? Well, not so much as I had to do quite a lot of stuff, but I have a lot of ideas for videos. So we're going to jump right in, and today we're going to talk about the interview that I had with Rich Aldridge. You see, during that interview I asked regarding the possibility for Immortal Empire specific DLC, and that was shot down. It's been shot down a number of times actually, but I really do think that Creative Assembly need to reconsider that. The answer that was given was that units and characters and so on would have to show up in the Realms of Chaos too, which, you know, fair enough, it's something that could happen, but there are certain elements where, yes, the units could show up, but the characters might not. I'm talking about the possibility of DLC that just affects something which is now base game. You don't need all three games to actually play Immortal Empires anymore. It's not like we've had exclusive content before. Dryker actually was only available for the Immortal Empires in Warhammer 2 back in the days when you needed both games. But since Immortal Empires is now accessible to everyone, this kinda opens up DLC plans. Well, possible DLC plans. This is something that we've discussed before, but since Creative Assembly want to reiterate that there's no current plans for it, I believe that we should talk about it and show Creative Assembly that this is something that we do want. We know Creative Assembly do listen to the fan outcry for stuff, and yes, if we are going to ask, it needs to be done in a respectful manner. We can't just go insulting the devs. I know some of you do that. But yeah, let's have a chat regarding this because I feel like I can make a strong case about this. Alright, let's compare both maps. So it's very obvious that they're very different in terms of scope and scale. The Immortal Empires is pretty much as close to the Warhammer Fantasy world as we've seen in illustrations and so on, and Realm of Chaos is very centralized towards, you know, Grand Cafe, the Empire, a little bit of everything, just funny enough, very similar to what we're expecting in Warhammer the Old World when that eventually releases. Don't worry, we're not going to be talking about that in this video. Well, there will be some references because, yes. But, yeah, the map is decently sized, but it's not the Immortal Empires. There's certain things where lore can be bent for certain characters to be given reasons to be in certain locations, but I'm talking about, like, future plans. You know, we're expecting at least 12 to 15 more DLCs. 3 a year, maybe even 4. You never know how Creative Assembly starts to notice that they could squeeze out this franchise for as much as possible and people will happily pay, considering, again, you know, if you go onto the Reddit, on the forums and stuff like that, people are just begging and demanding information regarding Shadows of Change, and I don't blame them because it's been a while and it's feeling kind of quiet. If we just go into Realms of Chaos, I mean, it's very simple to just guess where things are going to go. The next DLC is featuring the Kislevites, Cafe, and Tzeentch. Cafe is very big, so it can fit a lot of characters there. Tzeentch can pretty much be anywhere. You can put them up north in the Northern Chaos Waste or somewhere else, and a Kislev character, well, you know, Kislev. They'd have to expand it a little bit or just flesh it out a little bit more, but there you go. When it comes to the next one, Thrones of Decay, again, Nurgle, Empire, Dwarves, they can fit anywhere, so it's pretty easy just to add in characters there, right? The DLC following that, we don't know exactly what it's going to have, barring the fact that, yes, there is a major Slaanesh hint there, so it's likely, I'd like to think, Slaanesh, High Elves, and Dark Elves, because I mean, both High Elves and Dark Elves need a little bit of work. Slaanesh is pretty good at the moment, just needs a few units and another Legendary Lord option. But what about after that? Obviously, we're expecting a Khorne DLC, because if they're going to do the 3 Monogod factions in a row, they should finally do the 4th. And yeah, you could even fit in, say, for example, Lizardmen. You know, the Dragon Isles are there, and something which I believe in the Realm of Chaos there's only one settlement, but that could easily be expanded. This is the great thing, map expansions have been happening. But the problem is, the map already for the Realm of Chaos is feeling very congested. You might not notice this, but there's a lot of playable factions that are just not playable. You've got Kuron there, well, a little bit. You've got Manfred, you've got Karl Franz. There's a lot of characters that are actually just legendary lords. It's a shame that you can't play as them, because if people do want the smaller campaigns, like they said, they should really just make them playable. So with the map already feeling congested as is, the more characters you add in, the more DLCs we're expecting, it's going to feel like everything is legendary lords and there's no minor factions there. And I know some people prefer more legendary lords possible, but having some minor factions to act as a doorstop, to allow you to just kind of feel like, yes, you're fighting other things. The minor factions make the world feel a lot more lived in. That's the best way I can explain it. That's the way I see it myself. But then we have to start looking towards the future. How are you going to fit a Tomb King in here? Dark Elf is perfectly fine because obviously they build up colonies. What about the High Elves? What about more Orcs and Goblins? Because I would like to see more characters for the Orcs and Goblins. We've talked about the possibility of more Champions of Chaos style DLCs, and this is something that Creative Assembly have said on record, this is something fairly recent too, through my interview, that they have considered it. Well, that's going to add in a lot of characters that, let's be honest, would not make a lot of sense in these maps. And while yes, lore does not have to trump gameplay, these are characters that would just be better felt in, again, Immortal Empires. I'm not complaining about the Realm of Chaos, I just think that having specified DLC would also just allow for loads of varied start positions, whereas if everything is centered around the Realm of Chaos map, yep, everything is going to feel like it's so close to each other, you're not really getting more variety, you're just getting, oh, Vampire faction, Vampire faction, Vampire faction, Vampire faction, if you get what I mean. Obviously, should we get a Vampire Count DLC in the form of Champions of Chaos style, which, again, we would expect, but I wouldn't imagine if we're going to get a Strigoi faction to be up north. The Strigoi people wouldn't have no reason to go up there. So yeah, the Immortal Empires map does present a lot more possibilities when it comes to possible future DLCs. This is the stuff that we can expect in a realistic point of view. Obviously, Lord Packs, lots and lots of Lord Packs, I imagine, and that's going to be the largest amount of DLCs that we'll get. If the 3 to 4 year mark that Rich Aldridge did give out is like the final thing for Warhammer 3. But should Creative Assembly do start looking towards other races and factions like Ind, Koresh, these are ones that we're expecting, many people are demanding, and the fact is that Creative Assembly and Games Workshop must be hearing all the chatter, considering again that Ind and Koresh did get little minor lore updates recently in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and while they said that they're not doing anything old world related, well, really the answer was actually more, hey, yeah, we're going to focus on Warhammer Fantasy, and when I asked about Old World, it was kind of like, yeah, we're just going to pivot away from that. There was not a flat-out no, and that's probably because they're keeping stuff open-minded. Yes, it's a different IP, but the fact of the matter is, Games Workshop can allow for stuff to kind of bleed over. We'll have a proper talk about this in a future video, but the End Time stuff is a different IP, and we actually have a fair amount of End Time stuff in Total War Warhammer already. Not just the looks for certain characters like Arkan the Black, but a few units that are used by Elfire the Grim, for example. Yeah, there's already a lot of end time stuff in Warhammer Total War. But going back to Ind, Koresh, possibly even the Dogs of War, as yeah, Games Workshop have hinted for Old World. This will be one of the very small Old World references we'll have in this video, that the Dogs of War will eventually get split up. If Creative Assembly want to take advantage of that, you know, work in tandem once again and possibly actually get the cross-promotion done right for once, it would be a horrendously colossal waste of time, at least in my opinion, to extend the map for those areas. It's no point. There is literally no point to extend the Realm of Chaos map and then just add in Koresh or just a little bit of them, or go down south and add in Talia, Estalia, the Border Princes. That would take away from dev time. That would take away from valuable dev time that could be centered around the Immortal Empires map and could be centered on working on other DLCs, bug fixing. You know, lately the patches have been releasing a lot more issues than they have been solving problems. Again, more dev time means more possible content. I'd like to see as much as possible here. There is an obvious bias, but yeah, Warhammer Fantasy is my favorite setting. It is likely also my favorite Total War game, and I would like to see it supported for many, many years. And I think the only way that this is possible is through a shift in focus, where one DLC might come for both, and another DLC might focus on Immortal Empires alone. Take advantage that Immortal Empires has loads of locations which aren't in the Realms of Chaos, you know, like Illustria. Add in the Amazons as a one-off faction, you know, a mini race pack with only one Legendary Lord. That would be perfectly fine, but it adds in a little bit of variety. Or Southern Southern Chaos Wastes, add in the Beastkin, you know, demonic beastmen. It would be playing similar to the Beastmen faction, just with a few changes here and there. The Southlands with Araby and maybe even the Southlanders if that's something that they want to explore. Do a map expansion, add in Nippon, you know, that's a country which is missing from the Immortal Empires map, and it's kind of frustrating that it is, considering that it's a highly requested race. We know next to nothing about them. There have been rumors that Games Workshop have kind of been looking at it for Old World in the future, not anytime soon, but, you know, door ajar type of thing. Time will obviously tell, but just putting it out there and just giving Creative Assembly a little bit of a nudge every now and then should hopefully work in our favor, and I suggest that you guys do it too. Respectfully, of course, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's start a bit of a discussion. I do apologize if I do sound a little bit tired, but as you can imagine, I have moved a lot this past weekend. 150,000 steps to be exact in the space of Friday all the way up to Monday. So yeah, I'm pretty tired, not including all the other stuff I had to do. So yeah, have a great day everyone, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.